Yeah, and I don't know if I don't see, let me see who's not with us or, well, I can't bring up my, what's
Let's see,
that, this
we
PowerPoint?
have Melissa, Deb, Doug,
Gina.
Randy, Gina, and me, and Mike.
There's, council two. I don't know if that's the mayor or who that is.
Mayor said he would be on.
Okay.
That's pretty dark.
Okay, Council 2, who are you?
Tom.
There you go.
You want to change his name so we know who Council 2
Yeah.
is?
I think he'd rather be anonymous. Evening, Sean.
How you doing, sir?
Babu as always.
Oh, why's that?
What do you mean, why is that? I'm always fabulous. My life might be going to hell in a handbasket, but I'm personally fabulous.
Oh, I thought you said you were in a bad mood.
No,
I
no,
can't
no.
hear very well tonight.
Babu.
Fabu.
And
As
so,
in fabulous.
Oh, okay.
There's John joining. Now are we, do we have most everybody now? Or-
1,
I think we do.
I don't see
1,
Doug, but we could
2,
start.
Yeah, Doug's there. Duke, it's Duke.
Doogie's always on there.
3, 4, 5, 6.
You know,
Looks like we have 7 or 8 of us.
Well, we know Ann's not
Ann's not
joining
there.
us, at least at this point.
Yeah,
Why don't we get started?
okay.
Of course, first want to thank the Finance Committee and Lori, especially Lori McGowan's our Finance Director, puts a lot of time into putting the numbers together so that we have something to review. It just takes an incredible amount of work to do that each year. So I want to, start off by thanking her. The Finance Committee, as you'll see very quickly, has a very busy schedule in the fall for meetings and going over the various funds that we use. And I'll try to give a little background on what a fund is and what we do with them. And of course, the rest of the staff from the ground up, the department heads, Chief Weaver, the Public Works Director, Wastewater Treatment Plant Superintendent, all push up the numbers and projects. And, of course, we put a message down, if it's a tight year, don't go, just do what has to be done. And unfortunately, that's one of these upcoming years with the COVID-19. There's just so many unknowns not only in the region, the state, the country. We have put a very conservative budget together, both what we estimate as far as our revenues, and we have lowered our expenditures considerably to try to just maintain operations, do what has to be done, but really cut out the extra stuff. So see how this PowerPoint goes. We spent a lot of time or tried to take input from the Finance Committee in particular to try to educate residents, spend more time explaining things in the document itself. So we polished up the document considerably.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Mike.
Ralph, are you trying to show the document? Because right now all we have is your list of items. No.
Yes, yeah, you should be seeing the table of contents. So one second
okay.
here. Let me
Okay.
try something. Sorry about that. Let me try that again. Let's see what happens. Do you see the document?
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, hopefully it stays with us. If it doesn't, we'll try something else. So I just showed the table of contents. It takes a few seconds to get caught up here. We put in a reader's guide to help explain some of the budget terms. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going over the detail, but the reader's guide kind of explains what's in the total document with an introduction, a schedule, our council member names, the staff, a budget message, a budget in brief, which we'll get to, goals that we have accomplished for 2020 and goals that we expect to accomplish in 2021. Again, some more information is coming about real estate taxes, how they're calculated, what a mill is, a little bit about fund accounting, because that's what we use in local government, is funds with revenues and expenditures balancing out in a budget, as you'll see, and a little bit about utility fees, the other, beyond taxes, the other significant source of revenue is utility fees that we deal with. So this is just an overview of what a mill is and how they're calculated. Primarily that there's 3 taxing bodies that each homeowner, property owner deals with. The borough's 1, the county government's 1, the school district's 1, and a little bit about an example of how to calculate, the annual cost to you as a property owner. Of course, you would have to look up your assessed value, but we have an example of $45,000 of an assessed value. Of course, the assessed value is much different than the market value, but that information's there. The budget schedule, as I mentioned, very busy fall, always is. We take our budgeting and our planning and our looking at our resources very seriously. We spend a lot of time in meetings trying to decide, and look at our local economy, what we think's happening, what absolutely needs to be done. The borough has
Ralph, can you increase the size of that so people who are looking on the screen can actually see? It's a very tiny print. So if you could zoom it up a little bit.
Sure, let me try. Let me try this. I don't see anything happening. Oh, here we go. Let me try this. No, nothing's happening. Nope, it's slow, so just bear with me.
There, that plus sign should do it.
Yeah, it's just going very slow. Let's see if it. Oh,
There, good.
oh, maybe I
Hit
did
it twice.
Let me get it back to normal.
There you
here.
go.
There we go.
There.
It's going
Yep.
slow. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Sure. So here, just one of the sheets we included is names of officials, staff. This budget in brief, basically one page tells the whole story. It lists all the different funds that we use, general fund all the way down to the bulk water fund, and there's further descriptions later in the document on each fund. But this is, just as the name implies, a brief overview of the entire budget, including what is proposed as far as increases. So while we're here, I'll just take a second and go over what we're proposing, so it's not a mystery to anybody. We start with the general fund. We are going the line, we're proposing to hold the line on taxes in the general fund. The general fund is largely supported by real estate taxes, earned income. Earned income, is a percentage of payroll, earned wages. And real estate is as we talked a moment ago, based on assessed values, and depending on the millage rate set by council, it determines how much a property owner pays to the borough. There's a lot of activity in the general fund, which I'll go over later, but we're proposing at this time no increase. Street lighting is a real estate tax, as it says there. These are the sources that fund the system or the fund or the activity. No increase. The fire department is very vital service, all volunteer as far as the labor. The equipment we help pay for, and the operation expenses we help pay for, and so does a portion of the Nittany Valley region. And there's a fire executive board that oversees that. We're not proposing any increases there. Parks and Rec is another real estate funded activity, quality of life item that we have. It's, primarily backed by a real estate tax. We're not proposing any increase. In the water sewer fees are technically set by the Bellefonte Borough Authority. Of course, the borough, our staff is involved in talking to Public Works, talking to the authority to figure out if any increases are necessary. There's no increase proposed for water, through the authority. Their meeting is December 15th. So that's when they'll take official action on the water rates and the sewer rates. The sewer rates, there is a proposed increase. It's a $5 per quarter increase. It's primarily because there's a significant amount of debt on the system. There's been a very large capital project that was just recently completed. And then a few years prior to that, there was another very large project that needed to be done to keep up with state and federal mandates for what is being discharged into Spring Creek, which is a high quality fishing stream. So it's a struggle for us to, maintain everything, pay for debt, pay for projects. And, occasionally there's a need for an increase, and this is one of them. The refuse collection, garbage collection, there's a couple pass-throughs. Well, first of all, Center County Recycling and Refuse Authority is increasing their rates. So, and it's a pass-through system. So the borough is their customer. We're billed for all the customers in the borough that they have to pick up for. We're mandated by the state to have curbside pickup. So they bill us, so we have no choice but to turn around and bill the refuse customer. And so anytime there's an increase at the recycling authority, it's an automatic pass-through increase to the resident, the refuse collector. And at this time, because they have seen a drop off in recycling, the business of recycling, that what they get out of recycling, who's buying, and all that, they have already approved a 75-cent per quarter increase for curbside recycling. And of course, that's all the residential customers. In the commercial area, they don't do curbside, they do large dumpster and large container pickup, and that fee is going up $6 per quarter. There's also an increase for picking up recycled cardboard or cardboard that is to be recycled, and that fee will be $21.75 per quarter.
Who pays that?
The business pays it.
Okay.
Well, we are billed just like the curbside. We in turn have to turn around and bill each business some portion of that. Now, where it gets a little tricky is if there's a shared cardboard receptacle. We try to figure out a fair way to cover those expenses, but it gets passed on to the customer.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. We internally, because our costs are going up, the special item collections, you will see any increases in the fee schedule at the next meeting. For example, if someone says to us they'd like us to pick up a mattress, that doesn't go in the regular trash. It's a special pickup. So we have fees that they previously have been approved. We look at them each year, and that's the idea of a fee schedule, is to review them and see if they're adequate, and we're going to recommend some changes there, which again, you'll see at the next meeting in the fee schedule. What we are recommending that is specifically for the borough is a $5 per container per year increase for the brush and grass collection. As you maybe heard this past summer, I don't know the exact number, but I know it's at least 800 containers every week. And we actually have come up with a waiting list. So as people say, or they either move or they say they don't want the service anymore, we have a waiting list of people getting on the list. We had to come up with a cutoff. We simply do not have the labor and the equipment to pick up all of those containers in one day. It's actually overtime, but we can't go into the middle of the night picking up grass and brush and so on. And it would be extremely expensive, cost prohibitive to run a second vehicle and another crew just for grass and brush pickup. So we're years ago, we actually had a $60 a year fee for this, and I think we're at 10 now. This would put us at 15. So we're still far below where we used to be. Special projects, really, as you can see, is very nominal. It's only a fund used as needed. So there's no activity there. Liquid fuels is the gas tax money. It's money we use to improve the streets of Bellefonte. It's nothing that we actually have control over. We use it, or we have a lot of strings attached to it, but it's not something we can change up or down each year. So, but we note it as revenue as we are to do in government accounting. Emergency medical services, just recently, in recent years, I believe it was 2 years ago. I might not be exact on that.
That's correct.
Okay, we Borough Council created this new real estate line item tax because the Bellefonte Emergency Medical Services is woefully underfunded. They're not making it financially. Their reimbursements that they get from insurance companies and wherever else, Medicare, Medicaid, is not keeping up with the cost of services being provided. So they are struggling. If you look at their budget, the labor they're woefully underpaid. Their equipment is aging, has high miles. They're struggling. And if we want to keep them, we have to help fund them. And our biggest argument is the other municipalities in the valley, the Nittany Valley area, as well as the Bald Eagle Valley, need to help and do their fair share. Some are not. But Bellefonte's trying to do its fair share. I would just put in that Bellefonte EMS did ask for more than this. They asked for double what you see here. I think the committee felt at this time this is the most we can do. Bellefonte Borough is struggling. We have a relatively high millage rate compared to all the other municipalities in Center County. We're struggling. We don't want to put too much on the backs of our taxpayers, but at least we're doing something.
So I think what we can add there is that if a member of the public wants to assist EMS, they do have a nonprofit status and they can do a tax deductible donation to EMS to help them out.
Thank you for that. Yep, that's very, very worthwhile cause. Capital projects is primarily a holding fund where we know we're going to have maybe a large street project or a large grant project, and we're putting money away for 2 or 3 years to build up to do a project. So we'll use that fund to keep track of funds or money set aside, and everything's line item. There's no, as you'll see, every line is showed in the budget in this document. It's very well documented where the money's coming from, where it's going. The bulk water fund, I provide a little bit of background deeper in this document. It was always meant to be used for capital projects, funds to match grants that we otherwise would not have had the opportunity to apply for. It was never meant to be used for personnel costs. So we have never did that. We've never used the funds to help supplement labor costs. So again, all the details there, where it's going, what we're using it for, is deeper in the document. All funds, as I said earlier, need to match. The revenues and expenditures of each fund need to match. We have a total budget, with all that said, of $11,068,797. And I went over, the increases. We're going to try to, our proposal is to hold the line on new taxes or any increases in real estate. This is just a one-page budget message. I just give a quick overview. I point out that, the borough is the general fund. We struggle. We have, policing is an expensive service that we provide. It eats up about 45% of the budget. We struggle to keep up with all the costs, not just policing, but all the costs. And, it's something I'm saying that I believe, as it says here, identifying realistic options and working toward long-term solutions should be a priority of council for 2021. It's inevitable. We absolutely need to do something. The tax base that we have, which is explained in here, the property owners paying taxes, the earned income or wage earners earning wages is not enough. We don't have any new ones coming in like a township that puts in 100 home subdivision would have. We don't have that. So we struggle, and typically we either do away with a service or we raise taxes to maintain the service. So sooner or later, we're going to reach, there's actually thresholds in the borough code, where you're capped at how much you can raise your millage rates per line item. And, we're creeping closer to those numbers every year. So it's a concern. I've had some council members through the year ask me about accomplishments and goals that we used to do a little PowerPoint about this time of the year, or maybe it was in January. So I did look at some other budget documents and saw that others had included accomplishments and goals in the document. So I did the same. Dawn helped primarily put this together. It's not meant to be everything we ever did, but it's the bigger things we did. Of course, 2020 was a very unusual year with COVID. But if you get a chance, look through and see, if you think we should add anything or change anything. But it gives, anyone looking, and I hope people do, I hope people go to our website and look over the document, this whole thing from beginning to end, and, look to see what council does, what the staff does, the projects we have done, what we're planning on doing. I think it's very impressive for a small community. And I think we're doing pretty well, all things considered.
Just as a quick feedback, I had a call from the president of Wilkinsburg City Council over the weekend, and she gave a compliment for all that we have done this year.
Nice. Glad to hear that. Excellent. Again, 2021 goals. I see the name STAMP project, which means strategic management project or plan. That's a big deal. We're trying to figure out, getting outside consultants to look at how we manage our resources. Is there things we can do differently to provide the services that we provide at more efficient costs? You know, is there something we're missing? It's not just our eyes looking at our revenues and expenditures. We're using outside consultants. It's a study that was matched locally, and then we received a grant to do the study from the state. So we think it'll pay off in the long run with the advice and the input that we'll receive, and then implement those activities to help, again, save money. There's some goals, you know, you can look at them, we can talk about them. I mean, we can even talk about them in January. The thing of it is, if we just thought there was something that would add a significant expense, now, you know, the next meeting would be the time to bring it up. If we think it's something that, you know, we have some leeway where we take something off the table for, say, 2021 and put a different thing on the table, we can do that almost any time, but we need to have an agreement that's the case. But just keep in mind, look this over, you know, very tight budget overall, but if there's something that I think we need to change or do something differently, we can discuss it at the next meeting and then make the final decision at the next meeting. We're now getting into the funds. Each fund has its own, basically its own chapter, and it has a clear heading so people can find it. It has a quick set of facts so people can get a little bit of background quickly, a snapshot of charts, which we'll upgrade to do the pattern design. Hopefully that'll solve anyone's problems. So, you know, quick view of the revenue, quick view of, you know, cost per services. The general fund is huge. There's a lot of services, a lot of activity under the general fund. So I could have made the detail, you know, combined. I did not want to do that on purpose because I think people really should see or need to see where all the activity that takes place under the general fund, and there's a lot. So I left the detail in there at this point. Of course, I put in a pie chart, again, showing where the percent of the costs. The general fund is, you know, by far you know, where most of our resources go, has most of the services. So you can see in the pie chart a breakdown, the percentages of the resources used for each service. And you know, if you're not sure what's in a service, or, you know, by all means ask us. We're happy to explain it, you know, and try to, you know, put in more detail if necessary. These are pretty much the actual, well, I want to say the actual, but they're the spreadsheets that Lori has developed word for word. There's nothing taken out. There's nothing hidden. Every detail that Lori has for financial management is in this document. All I did is, you know, clean up the presentation a little bit, but it's all here. The same thing that Finance Committee used, the same, you know, the same thing you'll use to look at the budget, the final budget, but it's all here. And then what same thing, anybody can look at go to our website and look at this. It has every number, every line item of, you know, current year, proposed for next year, the amount, the line item, all the details in every fund that I've mentioned, you know, again, every fund is like its own chapter. So let me just stop. I talked quite a bit, went over quite a number of items. Let me stop there and see if you have any questions to start with. You know, maybe something I missed, I need to clarify. So let me just pause for a minute and see what questions you might have.
The only thing I would do is for the public is that when you look at this document, as Ralph said, their changes can be made by the December 21st meeting. If you see something, you need to contact the borough at borough@bellefontepa.gov to tell us what it is that you would like to see, and then we can take that into consideration when we finalize the budget at the next meeting.
Thank you. I did have a note in, I think it was either the Reader's Guide, just how people can comment on this for the next 2 weeks. It'll be posted probably tomorrow, for sure tomorrow. And then of course we do an advertisement, which we're required to do in the paper, but it'll be posted as early as tomorrow. If someone's listening and, well, it'll be posted tomorrow, but if someone wants me to email a copy, I'm happy to do that too.
Ralph, I just want to say that this looks like a great tool, and I appreciate the finance committee and Lori putting this all together. Makes very easy study of looking at the budget rather than some, going through some ones we've
50
gone through the
pages.
past couple of months, and it's just line after line. This helps explain a lot of things, I think, for people. So
Thank you.
got to take your time and go through it.
Thank you. That was our goal. We wanted to, the committee asked staff to try to, clarify, educate, simplify. So took a crack at it. There's certainly room for doing more or changing things, but that was our goal. So hopefully, we'll post it and then get some comments and, always look to improve things going forward.
I think you did a great job.
Thank you very much. Again, I went over that one sheet, that budget in brief, has all the changes that we're proposing. I don't know if the committee, I know Gina wanted to talk about, some, I'll say, budget strategy planning. I can think of a couple. I know, in regard to the police department, there's two things that come to mind. One is related to the police car being leased. The direction from the committee recommendation is to hold on that purchase and not take it out, but make it based on council approval later in 2021. I'm going to say around April, once we know that our revenues are on schedule, on target. If for example, if there's a stay-at-home order and there's a big shutdown and, people are struggling financially, they may have trouble paying real estate taxes, we would see some of that ripple effect. So we want to be conservative. If none of that happens and it's clear sky, then yes, go ahead and lease a police car. But that's one of the directions from the committee. The other one is the department has used part-time officers from time to time. We had one leave our employment earlier this year, and the recommendation is to hold on that part-time officer for now and, wait it out, not fill that part-time position. As it's not clear to the committee whether, overtime hours are saved or it's actually a reduction in overall overtime expenses by bringing another part-time person on board. So I want to mention that those are two items that come to mind. I don't know if Gina or Lori wanted to chime in, but it's going very conservative, at this point in time, till we kind of see what's going to happen come April.
Ralph, do you want to mention the public works positions or?
Well, sure. We've had a couple retirements this year, and it's partly obviously in light of COVID. We're trying to reduce some costs or look at ways that would be beneficial for the employee as well as the borough, maybe when we go to rehire. But in light of all that, we are holding on filling not only that part-time police position, but a number of public works positions. There's one of our senior mechanics at the treatment plant retired or is actually vacationing out at this point. We're not going to fill that position till April, even though that's not a general fund expense. We're holding on that till April. There's a water department personnel that's already retired. That is at least April. There's 2 street department positions that have said one is actually vacationing out. The one says they're retiring, is still here. But if it happens, we'll have 2 openings. We're not planning on filling the one until April. The other one probably maybe even as late, maybe the whole year, depending on what happens come April. So those are just real quick. We refuse, I didn't mention because we had an employee leave our employment. They left our employment this year. We simply just did not backfill that position. We don't have plans to backfill that position at this point. So it's indefinite when or if at all that position would be filled. So that's water, streets, refuse, even wastewater are being affected because of unknowns. And it's just we want to be conservative. We don't want to really try to maintain the employees we have and not bring extra on at this point if we can help it. Is our plan for the next immediate future.
Ralph, does that include the current position that's being advertised for zoning, planning, and harm?
Well, that good. I thank you for asking. That position has been open all year, and we have a proposal to fill it. Those funds are in this budget. And as no secret, Dawn Holderman, our assistant borough manager, will be retiring in the near future. We want to take that position and help, bring on, certainly fill planning, zoning, and harb, which is a fairly significant. It's a half-time position, no questions asked. The other half-time would be getting someone to in line to assume the assistant borough manager position when Dawn retires. There's a tremendous amount of institutional knowledge that we would like to pass on. And, if we don't have somebody, it's going to be good. It's going to be lost. We're just telling you the facts of what a situation could happen. We both have a lot of years here. We want to pass on and help people understand, train people to be successful, to understand all the operations that we have our fingers on a day-to-day basis. So that is the plan. It was talked about by finance, talked about by HR. It's in the budget, and it's for council to consider. All I can say is the committee system that we have is recommending it. It's in the budget, and council can decide whether something more important needs to be put in or taken out.
Ralph, could I just talk about the part-time officer real quick?
Yeah, I was going to mention that too, Jason. So go ahead.
So I understand certainly the borough's position. What I just would want to point out the issue that we're having minus a part-time officer is weekend day shift coverage. We don't have the manpower to cover Saturday and Sunday day shifts without implementing currently, which is what I'm doing with the scheduling, the school resource officers, which then requires us to pay back those hours to the school, or the chief or the detective. So what I've been doing, as we were, as we had talked about back in, I think, end of September with the finance meeting that we had, trying to look into a longer term possibility of part-time officers, because we do run into the issue with younger officers that they don't stay long. It's always been a problem. We're hopeful of getting some retirees interested in the position. That has fallen through. So we are back to looking at basically we need a body to fill weekend shifts, because we don't have that without either paying an overtime issue of a regular patrol officer or the chief. Because what happens with the chief is I've been pulling him off of Monday through Friday and scheduling him either Saturdays or Sundays, but that is something that's probably difficult to continue. The detective, same thing with the detective. I've been rescheduling him from his normal schedule to work weekends to cover shifts. And then I'm pulling the school resource officers also from the school, which I have to alternate. So I always leave one in the school. And that has caused, I have gotten some feedback from the school. They are not really pleased that we're doing that. Contractually, I think we do have to pay them back those hours, which I have been giving to Lori, the hours that I've been pulling the SROs, because we have to reimburse them the school back, because that's hours that they're not getting that officer. So the part-time officer, for whatever we have budgeted, is basically covering weekend patrol shifts, and if someone ends up being off. We did just have an issue with one of our officers who was off for 4 days due to some waiting for test results. So that cost us 4 days of overtime. There was no way that I could avoid that, because it was a such short notice type thing. I can't reschedule people on a short notice like that. So that is where we've always implemented the part-time officer usage as well, which does save some overtime costs. So I'm just asking that the consideration to council be that we don't delay the part-time officer. I can certainly work around the car issue till April to see where things come in. I get that. That's not really a big deal. We can push that back and hope and cross our fingers that we don't have any mechanical problems. But the manpower issue is certainly more important, and is going to definitely, especially with COVID issues right now, if we get an officer that would actually have an issue, that's a 10-day minimum by the new CDC recommendations that we have to give that officer off. I can't cover shifts without paying significant amounts of overtime for 10 days. So that does be where we end up implementing the part-time position, which becomes a much lesser cost if it's into the budget than unknown overtime issues. So I would just ask that the council really, if you could, just consider the overtime or the part-time officer part of it. It is an issue that we are working around, and I have for about 3 months now, but it is costing us money. It's costing us SRO reimbursement to the school and some overtime, and it's costing the chief and the detective working weekends, which is not really conducive to an efficient, number one, an efficient administrative side for the chief, and number two, an efficient work and use of our detective. So that's my only ask on that. If council would consider that, and certainly if you need any facts and figures, I can get those to Lori if you want to back up what we're spending on the SRO side of it.
Well, I wanted to ask also, Lori, are you still on? Lori?
Yep, I'm here. I'm here.
Isn't there a earmarked fund that's supposed to come in $30,000 at some point in time, earmarked for police department?
Yep, that's right on the screen in front of you. That's the
I
357
see it, is that the county COVID funds
It is.
or county grant? And is that
Yep.
earmarked for police services?
Yes, it
All
is.
right. So if that comes in, can we use that then to go for the part-time police coverage?
Yeah. This is Gina. It could. We just didn't budget to assume that it does come in.
Okay.
So
Well, it's
Yes,
not
in
totally off the
theory.
picture then. It's not totally out of the picture that we couldn't
Right.
move forward with that.
right, we just
Tom?
didn't
Yeah,
want
Tom?
to assume that money was there.
We won't know for another 2 weeks whether it's
Yeah,
going to be
okay.
there or not.
Well, that's fine. But when 2 weeks comes up and it comes in, then I would ask that we be able to move forward with the part-time police officer. That's all.
Does council have any more questions as far as scheduling issues? Because I know sometimes they come up. And certainly that's what I'm here for, to answer any of those, since I handle all of that. So anything you have on those, I can try to answer as best I can.
We're just about out of time in the work session, just so everybody's aware. We're really trying just to do an overview of the budget. Maybe we can meet with either Sean or Jason at a later point. If you want detail,
Mm-hmm.
we can set something up.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, council. Thank you, Ralph.
Sure. Thank you, Jason and Sean, wherever you're at.
It's 7:30. So do
Yeah.
you have any last thoughts before we move into the regular meeting?
I'm good. Again, we're going to bring this up in a regular meeting and it's on the agenda. We're asking council to approve the proposed budget for advertising, public display, public inspection, posting, and then have council consider formal action on the budget at the next meeting, December 21st, as well as reapprove either a tax ordinance or resolution. The state changed things on how that part of the budget is passed. So we'll have two documents, either a tax ordinance, well, we'll have both a tax ordinance and a resolution ready to go at the next meeting on the 21st. So that's all I have. If you have any comments in between, you're welcome to let Gina know, Lori know, myself. We're happy to work through any questions you might have.
Thank you. Let's have a 2-minute break because I think this is going to be a relatively long meeting. So take whatever quick break you need and then we'll come right back.
Thank you.
Perfect moving. Hey, Tom.
Hey. What?
That light show is kind of interesting, especially the one that keeps focusing on the middle of your head.
It's coming off of my head.
you remember the fish that saved Pittsburgh?
Volleyball, they bounce the ball around a lot too.
John, are you a Pittsburgh fan?
No, I just have a goldish yellow and black coat
Okay.
that I wear that everybody assumes I'm a Pittsburgh fan for some reason. So I go out of my way to make fun of Pittsburgh in the colors.
There was a movie out. Pittsburgh used to have a professional basketball team called the Pittsburgh Pirates. You remember that movie, Mayor? The fish that saved Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah, I've heard of it. When is that? I've never heard of that.
It's an old one.
Google it.
About 1978.
Oh, that must have been like the American Basketball Association.
Yeah, it was a fictional movie. Yeah, it was a movie. Comedy movie.
I'm not getting a full screen here. I'm not sure how to do that. I've got a little block.
Tom, Ralph is showing his screen for the flag. As soon as he finishes with that, he'll close
Oh, I
that,
see.
and then we'll have,
Come back.
and it'll come back. So it's not something you control.
Before we start, do we have to go through all that state and federal paperwork that's in the packet? You think
The
that's
stamp stuff or the,
well, the letter from Trump about the police? Sean already knows about that. And
I think just to mention that an FYI is all we really have to do.
And then there's a bunch of state stuff in there.
Well, one of the things we have to make a motion on, and I'll talk about that in my report.
Anything lately, I was just trying to get
Yeah.
the name for the borough. Yeah, for the life of me, I cannot figure out what the executive director tells me we're supposed to do. Executive director?
Oh,
The-
FYI, John, there's 3 things that were in there. That's just an FYI. There is a second one dealing with a public comment that we need to have a motion on. And then there's a third one that you as an individual council can make further decisions whether or not you want to do anything about it. I'll talk about that. It was mislabeled in the packet.
Okay.
Is everyone back? Let's see.
Hold on.
As far as
Back.
keeping it short, Tom, everybody just does what they have to say and shuts up, will be good.
Melissa, are you back?
I'm gonna,
There we go.
I'm gonna try to bring up the flag. I'm having some difficulty, but let me try it here.
Gina, are you wrapped in a blanket?
I
I have
am.
one in my background if you need it.
I'm freezing in my office here. Not a lot of heat that comes here, so.
Can everybody see the flag?
Yeah. So are we ready?
I think so.
Okay, CNET, you can start taping. Good evening, everyone. The December 7th meeting of the Bellefonte Borough Council is called to order. We held a work session on the budget just prior to this meeting. I'd like to have the Pledge of Allegiance, moment of silence, and then a roll call.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the
of the
United
United
States of America and
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under
under
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Ms. Tosti Vasey.
I'm here.
Ms. Walker is excused at the moment and may join us later. Mr. Brackbill. I see
I'm here.
Ms. Cleaton,
Here,
Mr. Eaton,
Here.
Ms. Homboski,
present,
Mr. Johnson,
present,
Mr. Prendergast,
I'm awake.
Ms. Thompson,
Here.
Mayor Wilson.
Present.
First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. Who would like to motion and who would like to second?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Okay, Clayton,
I'll second Brockville.
any changes? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? So moved. Consent agenda, there's only one item on it, the October 2020 voucher summary. Motion to accept from somebody?
I'll make it.
Prendergast,
I'll second.
Thompson? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All
Aye.
opposed? So moved. Regular agenda, written communications. Ralph?
First one is from Vanna Dainty in regard to the mask ordinance. She's a resident, former council member, just in support of going ahead and adopting a mask ordinance, but understands that the state has issued this new order. So of course, it may not be necessary that we do that. The borough does that.
Keep going.
Okay, just checking. Second item is a thank you letter with our involvement with Center Safe. We hung up some of the lights in recognition or awareness, I should say, of domestic violence issues. And Center Safe, the nonprofit organization, is thanking us for our assistance in that effort. The Keystone Water Resources Center is looking for the 2021 contribution donation that they put towards monitoring Spring Creek. It's in the amount of $2,859. Again, it would actually be paid, even though the request is now, we typically don't pay that till 2021, but it's there for your review.
Do we need a motion?
I think we usually do have that as a motion, yes.
Okay. Someone want to make a motion to make this donation?
I'll make the motion that we make the donation.
Clayton,
I'll second it.
Prendergast, discussion?
When's it due?
Oh, go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
I just wanted to know when are we paying this?
In 2021.
All right. Just check.
Next item is,
Wait a minute. We haven't voted. We haven't
Sorry.
finished the discussion.
sorry.
Gina, go ahead.
Should finance committee look? Is this something we should look at? I mean, I know it doesn't seem like a lot of money. It's just we're looking at a tight budget. So
What's the line item?
Yeah, is this already in the budget, in other words?
yes, sorry.
I don't,
What's the
hopefully
line
Lori,
item?
hopefully Lori's still with us. If not, I'll have to get that answer. But it is an expense we've had probably for 15 years,
Okay.
annual expense. And I believe it may even come out of the bulk water fund. That's where,
I think you're correct, Ralph.
okay.
From bulk water. So what is the sense of council? Do you want to table until we can have a discussion with Lori, or do you want to go ahead and work on the motion now, knowing that it comes from bulk water?
I'm good with
Gina,
it.
since you're finance, why don't you give a decision?
I'm okay with giving the precedent of this fund. I mean, I'm fine with going ahead and making a motion to approving that if that's what we do.
Okay. Other discussion? Doug, you had something to say?
I was just wondering what the line item number was in the budget. I would rather talk about it in the budget meeting, but that's $4,000.
Yeah, but if it's already in the budget.
Yeah, well, that's $4,000. No. Okay.
No, it isn't.
I get what Doug's saying. I don't think it's something we have to pass tonight. It could be something at the next meeting once this gets advertised and we kind of feel things out where we may be. when we're going to approve it at the next meeting. And
Okay.
include it then. If it's already in the budget, it's already there, but we can take a look at,
Okay.
if that's going
Then
to be
what,
the true number.
then what we would need is a motion to table until the Finance Committee reviews before the December 21st meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Gina?
I'll second it, Debbie.
Gina and Debbie, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? So moved. Okay, now you may go ahead, Ralph.
All right, thanks. This one, actually, I might need your help on this next one. It's Wildlife Federation information. So,
Okay, so basically this is a letter from Ed Perry, who's the local coordinator for the Wildlife Federation. He's requesting that the borough support Pennsylvania joining the RGGI, which is the
Okay.
Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative.
right.
Later on, when I give my report, I'll give more details on it, but it's just a letter saying that there is some community support for doing that.
Okay, thank you. That, because there is, as you have seen, there's information about this RGGI acronym program initiative in the packet. So Joanne will expand on that. So the next item is duck disease sampling. We're just giving you some, I guess, knowledge or some heads up that this is going to be taking place in Talleyrand Park. I don't know if there's any other details or time frame. Dawn, do you have anything else?
December, January timeframe. We haven't received really any forms or any other correspondence at this point, but they were just inquiring to see if we would be interested in allowing them to do that. This is USDA.
So
Okay.
in the past, we've had passed a motion to allow them to do that. Do we want to do that again?
If we've done it in the past, sure, that's fine.
Okay, so I need a motion to allow USDA to sample the ducks for avian flu.
Eaton, I'll make the motion to allow USDA to do the sampling of the duck population for disease.
Second, Johnson.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? So moved.
All right.
Next.
Okay, just checking. Next item is, there's some information, it's not on the agenda, but was in the packet. And Joanne mentioned it very quickly early on. It's in relation to orders that passed at the federal government relating to the prohibition of chokeholds. There's new policies and operating procedures. And there's a number of informational sheets that we received. I put them in, meant to put them in as communication. They're mainly from a law firm that we've had some communications with. So they're there for your review. We can make sure the mayor and the police chief have a copy of everything, but we just wanted, since we received them, I wanted to make sure you saw them as well. So that's what they're there for. The next item, we received an email from Center Region Code, our contracted code agency, just saying that if they receive an application for a residential structure that involves a sprinkler system, they're going to add a little bit more detailed review on the sprinkler system side of things. So it's just an FYI. Obviously, we only have a few or very few lots left in the borough for development. Typically, we don't see a sprinkler system going with those, but if we do, this would be a little bit of a more detailed process that the builder would have to go through, or the owner.
Ralph, I see Walt is on the Zoom. He may be able to answer any questions, and I do have one. And that's, does this change our codes enforcement ordinance at all?
No, this is specifically set up so that we ran into a situation in one of the townships where the township ordinance required either sprinklers or basically reservoirs or cisterns in the development, and the developer had to make a choice between the two. The township indicated on their zoning permit about that residential sprinklers were chosen. The developer later chose to do the cisterns. There was some confusion between the two, and we found that this is just a better way to do it so that we make sure it doesn't get missed and that the sprinklers being inspected as the project goes forward. And this is an effort not to delay the project. So in reality, this is an effort to help the situation as compared to delay the situation. So it actually helps things.
So we don't have to do anything to our ordinance to make this happen.
No, and quite honestly, I don't expect it to affect Bellefonte Borough at all, but we notify all 7 of the municipalities of everything we're doing in any kind of process. So I don't anticipate this being an issue at all in the borough. It's predominantly in the municipalities where they have something else that's triggering the residential sprinkler requirements.
Thank you. Any other
My pleasure.
questions? Okay. Go ahead, Ralph.
That's all I have under written communications, if unless someone else has something.
Seeing none, we'll move on to oral. Randy, you want to take the first one?
I'll take the first one. Hi, Walt, how you doing? Long time, no see. As everybody knows, Walt left the position of Bellefonte Fire Chief last summer, and we wanted to, give him some recognition, and we just never had time with all the COVID and everything and trying to pull things together, and so it just kept getting later and later and later, and so we working with Tim Schreffer, we finally got some things moving along, and I'm going to call on Tim to make this presentation. And while he's doing that, I'm going to attempt to hold this plaque up. This is probably going to be a fail, but just so people can kind of see it of who's watching this. Go ahead, Tim.
Well, first of all, thanks for allowing me to be here. And I just want to start out by stating that, I've been in the position on 2 different occasions, mid 1990s and early 2000. But one of the things that Walt has done is really brought the fire department up to the next level. There's adversity, and obviously he overcame a lot of challenges and moved forward, and nothing blocked his opportunity to increase our capabilities in as far as the fire department. And one of the biggest attributes of Walt was his understanding and his dedication to the grants and bringing funding to the fire department. And there's a lot of other opportunities that I like to talk about, but at this point, I really want to say that, on behalf of myself, as a friend and as a previous department chief, the Bellefonte Borough and the Bellefonte Fire Department, in the plaque reads an appreciation for your commitment, dedication, and leadership for the Bellefonte Fire Department. We really would have seen, put everything on there, we need multiple plaques. But I think we can summarize it. And obviously, he did bring a lot to the table for the fire department. And personally, I appreciate everything he has done and accomplished.
Thank you, Chief Schreffler. Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Walt.
Thank
It was
you.
my pleasure.
Do you have anything you would like to say?
Well, before you do, I want to kind of chime in after Tim. But I want to thank you for your service and involvement in the Bellefonte Fire Department. I also want to thank you for working with me and helping me as part of the exec committee have a better idea of the challenges that our volunteer firefighters face to overcome, and they do that well, and in keeping Bellefonte and the surrounding community safe. Thank you for helping me along, and thank you for helping Bellefonte Fire Department.
It was truly my pleasure. As always, as the building code official, I'll be continue to be a resource as you need me. I hope the department well in its next generation and its next chapter. it is becoming more and more a challenge, and to maintain the volunteer fire service. And I really would encourage council to do what they can to support the volunteer fire service, because as you see with a difficult budget year, the volunteers themselves are a resource that is difficult to replace and almost impossible to overcome financially. And so truly, one of the biggest challenges is going to be that is the funding of the department, and being able to continue to look for grants and additional outside support for the department. And I really appreciate the sentiment behind this, and your thank yous. And I wish the department well, and will be here as a resource as needed. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Walt. Appreciate
thank you,
everything
Walt.
you've done for us.
Thank you, Walt.
Thanks.
Okay, there's one more issue on oral. Ralph had some oral communications regarding Centercrest. So do you want to talk about that?
Sure. Just to make it clear, the borough has no oversight or connection with Centercrest. It was reported in the paper, in the news, about the high percentage of patient cases of having COVID-19. And, there were some questions related to the borough, maybe the borough's response. Just to clarify, we don't have really any oversight. We can only expect they have the highest level of policies in place. I'm sure they're highly regulated to begin with. I would just throw in, the standard preparations, precautions. Wear your masks, wear, social distance, wash your hands. If you don't have to go to Centercrest for any reason, not to go, just because the case level is very high. So I just wanted to put that out there that, we have no oversight, no control. Of course, if things were really serious here in the borough, we could, activate an emergency action plan. We could work with our neighbors, the county, and draw in some resources if necessary, but that level has not been reached yet. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you, Ralph. Do you have any questions for Ralph? Okay. Any other oral communications that have come into any of you? Okay, then moving on. Mayor Wilson, you're on. You got to unmute yourself.
I have really nothing to report. I'd like to thank Walt also for his service to the borough as he served on borough council, but that's secondary to the work that he's done for the fire department. I think we've already thanked everybody for the decorations for downtown, and the fire department assisted with that as well as the borough, and then the volunteers from HBI. But other than that, I have nothing. Stay safe, stay calm, stay home.
Thank you. Any questions for the mayor? How about questions for Sean? Sean, do you have anything you want to report?
Nope, I just want to thank Walt as well, and it was a pleasure working with him on the other side of things. And I've learned a great deal about firefighting from his side, and to what it takes for our police officers to be safe at these incidents involving fire. But he's been a good asset to the borough.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, so the next is my rather detailed report. I've been to 2 meetings in the last 3 weeks. And we'll try to go through them as quickly as possible. There is one item that we have a motion on. The first meeting is a meeting the DEP held last Wednesday, December 2nd. It was for all climate action plan communities throughout the state. The first item is they announced that for the foreseeable future, DEP will continue to support all the CAP program municipalities. Second, they are providing a 74-hour building operator certification and building retuning training program. This is a national workforce training and credential program offering job skills in energy efficient building and operational maintenance practices for the borough. So if we're interested in doing that, there's a discounted registration fee of $475 by January 13th. And it would, and if we were to do this, it would help particularly for our HVAC person who handles that kind of work for the borough. The third thing was the DEP and the Pennsylvania Municipal League have put together a community resiliency resources for municipal government. These resources include videos, flyers, and articles to assist communities and in creating and improving their sustainability programs. We can access this information through PML. The fourth was that there's a Growing Greener program grant application open for storm bank stabilization currently available. The application deadline is January 3rd. The fifth, there is a competitive alternative fuel initiative grant program available that could assist the borough in either purchasing or leasing alternative fuel vehicles. They could be electric or hybrid. George Bristow has the details. And the EV level charging rebate program that we have used is still ongoing. The sixth item was CoStars has contractors that can provide green products and sustainable services that could fit in with our climate action plan. The seventh one was the DCNR has a list of trees appropriate for planting within a CAP program. This includes trees that don't attract the Japanese lanternfly, and they suggested checking out the Tree Vitalize Project and PSU's Bear Tree Root Program, which we already use. The eighth one, and this is the one that we need a motion on. They've requested that the borough support the draft RGGI, Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. DEP is currently crafting a rule to join RGGI, and there is an open comment period through January 14th. This request was included in Ralph's file that he labeled Governor Wolf's flooding disasters. There were actually 3 items in that. This was the second item listed. And if you went through the whole document, this was what was there. Basically, RGGI is an initiative of 10 New England and Mid-Atlantic states to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from the power sector while generating economic growth. I think because of the motion things, I'd like to have a motion first, and I'll go into the details and discussion. So I'd need a motion to have council send in written comments to support RGGI.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second
Clayton.
it. Yes.
Clayton and Prendergast. Okay. So currently, Connecticut, Delaware, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, Rhode Island, and Vermont cap and reduce their power sector carbon dioxide emissions. This is achieved by setting a regional cap or limit on carbon dioxide emissions from electric power plants in the participating states. The Pennsylvania Climate Action Plan that was put together by executive order on January 1st of 2019 detailed the many steps to reduce emissions and recommended that Pennsylvania make a cap and trade program for the electricity generator sector. To do so, Governor Wolf recently signed an executive order that directed DEP to begin a rulemaking process that will allow Pennsylvanians to participate in the regional greenhouse gas initiative with the goal of reducing carbon emissions from the electricity sector. Included in the plan is a call for plan to join RGGI. This rulemaking process gives local communities and individuals a chance to weigh in on the new rule before it is finalized. There are also some public meetings if you want to do an oral comment. Also, the links to these meetings can be found in that packet. And so basically what we're voting on is to have Ralph, probably in coordination with Mike and myself write the comments to get in by January 14th. Discussion?
Joanne, is there a cost to joining, Reggie?
Not to us, that's as far as I know.
Well, that's some of the things that I have issues with.
Yeah,
With these plans are coming out and with all these ideas and guidelines, but money isn't one of the things that is being addressed.
Yeah.
And it's concerning, especially in a year like we're having and are
Yeah.
going to have in 21.
Yeah. This still would not have an impact on our budget at all.
What sort of comments would you be submitting before the 16th of January?
They would basically, if you looked at, they're basically saying that in order to mitigate increased greenhouse gases, we need to have some method to reduce it. And by joining by joining Reggie, we can cooperate with the other states in basically the Northeast to have a plan that would make it possible for all of us to work together at a reduced cost for all of the states. And when I say reduced cost, I'm not talking about the borough cost, but this is looking at making regulations that cross state lines to help reduce it. Pennsylvania is one of the highest greenhouse gas emitters in the country, and this would help us reduce those to help get us to the 80% reduction in greenhouse gases by 2050 that both our plan and the state's plan are trying to do.
It's pretty nebulous. What exactly are they proposing? Do we know?
I don't have the details, so I can't answer that.
That's where I don't know that I'm prepared to vote on this yet. We just got that information in our packet. I didn't get a chance to look at that.
Yeah.
So I would choose to delay this, but that's,
It's a lot of
I don't know what I'm
information.
voting on exactly. So I understand, Joanne, what you've explained to us, but I
Okay.
haven't looked over that. Have you looked over it, Mike?
No, I haven't had a chance to.
So Joanne, we've already have a program that we're working with, or I'm not sure what status it is now. but I know
Right.
We're working
Right.
on it.
This
But
is a
this sounded
state
like
level.
we needed to do another one.
No,
like a
no,
second plan.
this is not a second plan.
Okay, so
This
this is going
is-
to run with what
This is just
established
making
so
a
far.
comment in support of what the state wants to do.
We're just basically voicing an opinion.
Correct.
Okay, so we could pass the motion to write the letter, but then we could later approve what the letter says to send it before we send it out.
Could do that, yes.
Exactly what's our motion right now?
It's to ask Ralph, you, and me to craft the letter. Doesn't say that and if we want to hold it off and for final approval at the next meeting, we could do that.
Well, I would definitely want everybody to approve it, or at least have a chance to look at it before we send anything.
Well, it'll give other people a chance to, as you think about it, add 2 questions to the letter. I'm not opposed to that.
So we can craft and bring it back for final approval.
And if it's something that's crafted and can be sent out before the Friday of the next meeting, that would be helpful too, because there's a lot of information in that to even sit down and look at to get on board with it.
You could approve it on the 4th of January too.
Right. Approve either December 21 or January 4th. Okay. So what we'll be doing if we pass this motion this evening is to craft the letter and then put it back in the packet for final approval.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? So moved. Okay. the final thing from that meeting was that there's a link to a Penn Environment sign-on letter for the same Reggie support. So if you're interested, you can do that. That letter is also available for the public if you go to the Penn Environment website. So you can sign on to it if you so. They're basically what they're doing is like it's a petition. You sign it and they'll send in that one letter with everybody's signature on it who has signed on. Any questions about the CAP meeting? Okay. Like I said, I tried to go through it rather quickly. The other meeting I attended was on November 19th, and it was the Pennsylvania Municipal League Sustainability Conference. There were 4 workshops or topics. The first was police civilian confrontation. It was called How Often, Why, and What Can Be Done to Reduce Tension. Topic presented information in light of the chokehold death of George Floyd and several police-involved shootings around the country. And they went on and saying that what needs to happen with most police forces is to do much more community policing, which I think we're pretty decent at. So it's basically backing up what Sean has been trying to do over the last several years here in Bellefonte. The second one was a topic called Health in All Policies, and it was discussed collaborative partnerships between academics, local governments, NGOs, and state agencies to improve the general health and well-being of the public. Michelle, and I don't know her last name, she's with the PSU Sustainability Institute, is going to work on a general outline for such a program for Bellefonte and the Center region to possibly create a 5-year plan for us. Once she gets that together, she's going to get a hold of us and we can start having those discussions. But at this point, that's all the information I have on that. The third one was Trails and PA, and DEC released their outdoor recreation plan last summer, and they're releasing their trail networking strategic plan in January 2021 with a focus on linking trails that are not currently connected. And one of the things they highlighted, Tom, was that they're looking at bike paths, such as the one linking our bike path up with State College and possibly Lock Haven. So you're talking without unmuting.
Yeah, the problem with our trail project right now is, how do you sell a 3-mile trail for $7 million?
Yeah. Yeah, this plan might help with that because there might be some funding behind it.
Well, that would be great. It's just that we have to have matching funds for that if we didn't get any grants. And at this point in time, it's really going to be difficult to ask people for money for trails.
Yeah. Okay. And
so it's not, but thank you. I appreciate that information and I'll pass it on.
Okay. The fourth one was called Community Resiliency Building, and this is an idea that focuses on immediate and sustainable ability to withstand, adapt to, and recover from adversity with the goal of equitably achieving healthy and fulfilling lives for all. It's another plan sort of like the CAP, but it focuses more on the people and communities rather than the in greenhouse gases. And that's the end of my report. Any questions? Okay, seeing none, moving on. Anne is not here. Ralph, can you do her report?
I'll try. Maybe some of the other committee members can join in. The committee did meet. There was recommendations to change the on-street parking permit fees. Help me recall the numbers.
I can do that, Ralph.
Oh, thank you, Don.
I have a written report for Ann. So
oh, thank you.
Basically what we're looking for is Building and Property Committee is recommending the following regarding on-street long-term parking permits, which will replace the red meters when it comes into effect in 2021. There will be 3 permits that can be issued with the following costs. There'll be a C, it'll be a commuter permit, and it'll be $25 per month. It can be issued a residential permit, and that'll be $15 a month. And that would be a resident that lives to an adjoining parking area. And then you can get a residential commuter permit. That would be $20 a month. This would be issued to borough residents that own a business in downtown. As far as the household permits, only one permit will be distributed per household unit. So the first order of business would be to get a motion to approve the permits to replace the red meters.
I'll make that motion.
Brackbill?
Brackbill.
I'll
Johnson.
second it, Clayton.
I think I heard Johnson
Okay.
seconding it first. Johnson, okay. Discussion?
I think it's a great idea.
Seeing none? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? So moved. Go ahead, continue, Dan.
The next order of business is the Building and Property Committee would like to have council approve a limit of parking permits in our municipal lots capped at 33% of the number of spaces in each of our municipal lots, which would include the west lot, the south lot, and the north lot. Right now, we have no policy regarding the number of permits to issue, so this would give us a number that we could begin to track the number of permits, keep the parking somewhat open for people that are visiting Bellefonte. So cap the parking permits at 33%.
I'll make that motion to cap at 33, the parking permits at 33%.
Okay.
I'd second that.
And Johnson and Prendergast. Discussion? Seeing none? All,
The only discussion I have is if we see a need to change it at some time, we can always do that. We thought this was a good jumping off point at 33%. That's why we made the recommendation.
thank you, Doug. Any other discussion? Seeing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Continue, Don.
One other item, Building and Property Committee had a request by a business owner in town that requested to lease 2 parking spaces in the west parking lot. That would be the CVS lot. Currently, we charge $35 per parking space for anyone that wants to get a permit, but he's requesting them actually for his business. The committee is recommending approval with the caveat that each space will cost $50 a month and the business owner will pay the cost of the signage and installation.
Again, I'll make that motion to approve this.
Johnson,
I'll second it also.
Prendergast. Discussion? Yes, Doug.
Again, this is a trial basis. If we see that this isn't working well, we also told the business owner that this can be revoked at any time. So that was communicated. Is that correct, Don?
Yeah, that's correct. That's
Thank
correct,
you.
Doug.
Thanks.
Yes, Melissa.
I wonder what this is going to open us up to.
We've had some conversation about that, and that's why we told the owner that if we see this is not working out, that it'll be revoked. So we're trying to encourage businesses in town, and we thought this might be a step to attract some businesses. If we see that the parking is being overloaded by visitors, then we'll have to make adjustments.
Or
Nice.
going the other direction, if we find out that all the businesses are grabbing up all of the spots and we don't have place for the visitors, then we can eliminate it as well.
That's my concern. I own a downtown business, so like, why the hell wouldn't I want one? You know, like, I could see this being.
You can have one. You can have one.
But then no one's going to have a place to park. Visitors won't have a place to park. If every downtown business has 2 spots.
Yeah.
We looked at the least used parking lot, and that was the one that was least used. So, and the request was made for that one. So we thought we'd give this a try and see how it works. If it becomes burdensome, that we're not attracting people having parking places, then we'll eliminate it. So it's a trial.
This isn't
event.
on street. This is,
This is in the parking lot.
CVS lot
The
only.
CVS.
okay, I thought this was on street.
No, CVS lot.
Okay.
Yeah, my only concern with it is, and I think I mentioned it before, is how often those spaces stay empty. I mean, I agree that, yeah, they're getting paid for at that point, but they're still sitting empty when other people could use them if it's getting a lot of traffic at any given point. I don't know, you know. Especially down in that area, you know, this time of year, normally, you know, with Victorian Christmas, you know, not happening this year, there would be more people maybe down there parking in that location than say normally they do during the rest of the part of the year. But that's one of the things I think we have to monitor.
Well, I think it's also in the self-interest of the business owner not to take up too many spaces that he wants people to park in.
I think they only get 2, right?
That's
Well,
correct, Randy. Two parking spaces is a requirement.
Maximum of 2.
Right.
And but right now, that's just one business owner, correct?
Yes.
One lot.
So, yeah, I think on a trial basis, this will work. If not,
No.
Yes, John.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut off Mike there. I thought it was done. And I did understand that we are receiving a premium over what the permit fee would be for the spot. So yeah, I think it's reasonable to give it a shot, see how it goes.
Okay. Any other comments? Seeing none? Go ahead, Don. Ralph.
Sorry. I just want to mention back to the signage, the red meter area. We'll have to order those signs, get them prepared, and then install them weather permitting. So it'll be some time before you actually see those changes. Just wanted to give you a notice about that.
Any other discussion? Seeing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So moved.
Finally, just wanted to let council know that Ralph had mentioned, as far as the red meters, our staff will probably begin to pull them sometime this month. We'll get the signage installed, hopefully by the end of December, early January. And we're working with UP Safety to establish these parking permits, both for our municipal lots and the long-term on-street parking online. I think we might have that set up by next week. And then finally, I just wanted to mention there was a memo in your packet regarding William Carey, who came into council some time ago regarding, he's the Little League Baseball president, and they finalized or got pretty much completed with their third baseball field out on Fifth Avenue. He mentioned to me that they're working once again on a possible grant that they could get to pave the area between the ball fields now, just like they did when they got the lighting a couple years ago. And he asked he's asking if that comes to fruition, he would like to see if Borough Council would allow the borough to run that through Bellefonte Borough.
So we would need a motion to approve the Bellefonte Little League to funnel a potential grant for paving the parking lot between fields 2 and 3 through the borough administration. Should there be any funding available for this?
I'll make the motion.
Johnson?
A second, Brackville.
Johnson and Brackville. Discussion? Seeing none? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Great. Anything else for building and property?
That's all I have.
Does anybody else on the committee have anything? Okay. Seeing none, move on to finance and government performance. Gina?
All right. Before our meeting, we had a work session to look at the proposed 2021 budget. Ralph did a great job with his presentation and putting together nice visuals for the public so they could have a better understanding of the budget process, what it looks like, where each specific budget goes for the general fund particularly. So I would like to make a motion to consider approval for posting the proposed 2021 budget for public inspection with formal action by council scheduled for December 21st at our meeting. And public inspection will be done by appointment.
I'll make the motion.
Oh, she made the motion. You're seconding it.
Oh, I'm seconding it. Sorry, Gina.
That's all right.
Discussion?
Yeah, go ahead, Doug.
Go ahead, Doug.
I just want to thank the committee, John Eaton, Gina Thompson, Joanne, myself, Ralph and Don, and the police chief.
Lori.
Lori, I'm sorry, Lori. Yeah. You know, we're struggling in the borough, and we did the best we could to hold tax the dollars where the budget where it is right now. But these guys, ladies and gentlemen, work pretty hard to make this budget be balanced. So I appreciate all the work that they did. And Mr. Stewart prepared a wonderful document that's available to borough residents, or will be. So check it out. It was a job well done by Don, Ralph, and Lori and the committee. So thank you very much.
And sort of related to that, I noticed on Ralph's presentation that he's using our new branded letterhead and background stuff. It really looks good.
Great.
And I think it'll be very helpful for the public. It makes it much cleaner for us presenting materials to the public. Thank you.
Oh, that was great. That was a pleasant surprise to see, Ralph. That was cool.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? So moved.
Okay. Is the second one, I guess
It's actually different and needs,
Okay.
just for clarification, it's
Okay.
about advertising the tax ordinance / resolution.
Okay. So I'd also like to make a motion to consider approval to advertise a tax ordinance / resolution to be considered for the December 21st council meeting.
I'll second that.
Thompson and Prendergast. Discussion?
Deb has
I
a
just-
question.
I have a question. Do we need to pass a resolution if we're not making any changes to the tax rate?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, Deb. Let me give a little bit of background and then I'll come back to your question. Before 19 or in 19, we always passed an ordinance, but the state changed it so you had to pass a resolution. So we may, not knowing exactly which way it's going to be, an ordinance with no changes or no increases, we would feel comfortable advertising the ordinance and
/ resolution.
/ resolution, have the resolution there. If there's no increases, we would just move to the resolution. But since there's 2 weeks of inspection or some debate, not knowing exactly which way it's going to be approved, I would feel comfortable advertising both. And then we're covered.
And then because we're doing this at the same time as the budget, we could put both of them in the same ad and it doesn't cost us any extra.
Excellent.
Any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? So moved. Anything else, Gina?
Just a quick question for Ralph. If there is a public comment, if somebody has something for the budget, will finance committee meet then again to look at that consideration?
we can do it a number of ways. If there's something significant, for example, there's some discussions in the work session as to maybe
Right.
looking at if there's any additional resources from the county coming in and where that would go. We can discuss with you, Gina, maybe if you want to set up a meeting.
Okay.
Otherwise, those comments really, they go to all of council in the next council packet. Anything, ideally written, but if someone wants to join the meeting, they're welcome to. We would certainly send the link out if somebody wants to comment that way.
Okay. No further questions. Just wanted to reiterate what Doug said earlier, that it was definitely, I was really pleased to serve on the committee with Doug and John, and working with Lori. She's great. And, Joanne and Ralph and Don, we all met lots of meetings and really kind of tweaked this so that it worked and that we could not have tax increases. So thanks everybody for your hard work on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing
Gina,
further.
you want to mention about the finance meeting
Wednesday night.
Oh, coming up. Yes. I just forgot about it. We have a finance meeting this Wednesday at 4:30.
Yeah.
For those of you that didn't, like me, who didn't already know that.
I assume beyond the budget, correct me if I'm wrong, that it will also be talking about the stamp report.
We can.
Yeah, that we have that, and in addition, we have some proposals that we need to put in front of the committee, which we'll send out either late tomorrow or Wednesday morning.
Okay. And
okay.
I'm sure we could talk a little bit about some of the questions that came up in the work session as well. Thanks
Just
for
on finance.
Yeah.
I just wanted to pass this on. At our fire exec committee, the fire executive committee approved sending the proposed budget. They agreed, to have it approved by the borough council. So I don't know if that requires a motion or if it's just required under the main acceptance of the budget at the time it's done. Either way, I thought we did it both ways. But
I think, once we approve the budget, it in essence is approved, but if we want to do it separately, we're fine with that.
Okay, I just wanted to pass that on, that recommendation was made.
So Randy, as the member of the fire exec committee, why don't you make this decision and let Ralph and me know which way you want to go, whether just
No, I'm fine. If it's that, as long as everybody's aware that the fire exec committee recommended it to council to approve, then that's something that probably doesn't need to be looked at.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Randy.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I had for finance. Thank you.
Any other questions for Gina? Not Melissa, Parks and Rec.
The only thing that I have on my part is that the Talleyrand Park restrooms are closed effectively 12/3/20 due to vandalism.
We'll give some kudos, Melissa, to Sean, Chief Weaver, and the police department. The security cameras did pay to some dividends as they were able to determine who the vandals were.
Oh, great.
Fabulous.
Thank you very much.
So we may have some community service sometime in the near future.
Maybe cleaning up the bathrooms.
Don,
now and then they need shoveled out,
Don, have the bricks been installed?
We have them here. We picked them up and had them delivered. Matt was going to try to get them done before our two seasonal part-timers left, but weather didn't accommodate, so we didn't get them in yet, and I can't tell you when we'll get it scheduled, Melissa, but we do have them here. So
I have one more at my house that was for the Talleyrand Park Committee that we used as a test. so I could drop that off sometime.
If
But
you
if
do-
anyone is,
If you do, make sure you tell us because we'll have to put it with the others so that it doesn't get lost in the shuffle.
I'll give you a heads up. Just a reminder to everyone out there that if you're looking for a gift for a friend or a family member, a loved one this year, you can go to talleyrandpark.org and order a brick paver that will be installed in Talleyrand Park. I do not remember the price off the top of my head, but it's a great gift that will last probably longer than we will.
It's not saying much for some of us.
No, it's not.
I think the cost is $125 if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds about
Thank you.
right. Yes, Doug.
This is always a difficult subject, but if and when it snows, are we going to clear the walkway that's by the stream and the figure eight so that our citizens can continue to walk around the park? I know in years past we have not done that, but if it's a budget item, maybe this is something we should talk about at our next finance meeting, because I think it's important to clear those sidewalks.
Maybe,
And steps.
maybe the kids that vandalized the bathroom community service could be clearing the walks this winter. That's my
And
suggestion.
steps.
I know, Ralph, we have an issue with salt, so don't use any salt. Use a snow blower without salt. I'll donate a snow blower if you want one. But I really would like to see our citizens still be able to use that walkway, and if the brick sidewalk's going to be complete, it would be nice to still be able to walk through the park. So
It certainly involves the resources we have available, during and after a snowstorm. I think it is a topic, either finance or the next council meeting, because we have no park service, no park employees at this time of the year. The only ones we have are seasonal through the summer. So the other crews who are taking care of public streets, public parking lots, our parking lots, and so on, at the end of everything, they could possibly, take care of some walkways, but it's really a crunch. And I said in the work session, we're down a number of employees. We're not intending to rehire till after winter sometime. So I can't promise anything, but it's certainly a topic that should be talked about.
and I completely understand that. Are we allowed to sub that out?
I would have to think about that and maybe get an opinion from our solicitor, because we have a union here, and it's work that they have done some work in the past. So it's an issue whether we're taking work away from the union or not without negotiating that.
Okay, thank you very much.
And thank you, Doug. Any other questions? Seeing none, moving on to human resources. John?
Okay. The position, the assistant borough manager zoning planning HARB vacancy announcement has been placed, and we're accepting applications until Friday, December 11th at 4:30. The employment application and job description is on the Bellefonte Borough website. Frank Knoll has accepted the role as being the new superintendent for the wastewater treatment plant. So congratulations to Frank. And on December the 2nd, we had a meeting with our municipal insurance or municipal pension plan provider, the Pennsylvania Municipal Retirement System. And we reviewed the IRS compliant paperwork that we have to file. We were initially, we were looking at that paperwork early last spring or last winter/spring when COVID hit. But now we need to finalize that paperwork, and we'll have that in our December 21st council packet. And it's basically just formalities of saying that, checking the boxes of what benefits we provide and limits and so forth. So really not a change, just a restatement. So everybody's fine with the package we offer. And that's my report.
Thank you, John. Any questions? Okay. In that case, Randy, safety? You need to unmute yourself.
I'm getting as bad as Tom.
I think you got a ways to go.
So anyway, our Bellefonte Fire Department Executive Committee did meet on September 24th, and those minutes were in the packet. Also, we did have a safety meeting planned. I believe it was for either tomorrow or, yeah, I think it was tomorrow. That's being canceled. It was related to CDBG COVID funding. Don sent a letter out that he touched on a little bit earlier, so I'll let him explain that because that's easier than me reading the whole thing.
In the memo that I placed in your packet regarding the 19 COVID funding for CDBG, just as a reminder to everybody, the borough was awarded $66,000. $6,000 has to go to CEDACOG to administer the program, which they are. They've hired or subcontracted with Center Helps that will be the intake agency for this. Now, you as Borough Council have a few months ago decided what you wanted to do with the funding, and it was sustenance. So it'll cover Bellefonte Borough residents that for whatever reason couldn't afford or cannot afford or haven't been able to afford their rent payments, their utility payments, such as water, sewer, gas, electric, things of that nature. So at some point, when the contract does arrive, Center Helps is going to, along with CEDACOG, will work within our community to make sure that the word gets out, and any information that needs to be provided will, that information will get out to all the residents so that they will know what they'll have to do to be able to apply for some of this funding. So the only caveat at this point that I was told is that we threw refuse in as well. But right now they said that the borough can't use the money to pay themselves back. So if someone got a refuse, water and sewer bill, the only part at this point that I'm aware of that may not be able to be repaid would be the refuse portion of it. But water and sewer would be, because we have an authority that handles that. So that's where we are with it, and we will keep council apprised as much as soon as information comes in to us on the program.
And I assume we'll highlight that on our Facebook and website under the COVID section, or where?
It'll be, once we know the details, Joanne, we'll do everything we can to get the word out. Because we'll want our residents to use all the $60,000 that we have.
Okay, thank you.
That's all I have for my report.
Any questions for Randy or Don? Seeing none, moving on to water sanitation. Doug?
Thank you, Joanne. Spring Banner Walker Joint Authority capacity request. I don't have a clue on that, Ralph.
Well, there's two letters that were in the packet related to Benner Township officially asking or requesting capacity information at the treatment plant in relation to their interest in extending the sewer line collection system to Shiloh Road. So it would go from Shiloh Road down through Spring Creek up over the hill to the airport. The airport is currently connected to our system, so that's where they're trying to go. Those letters, because in the region there was questions, there were public hearing comments about the region, so I made sure those two letters were in your packet, the council's packet. They're also going to be in the borough authorities packet for their meeting on the 15th. So that's what they're about. We have capacity at the plant, but I wanted to keep the elected officials in the loop, so to speak. Should there be a public hearing, should you want to comment, what have you, but in essence, we have capacity, but I just want you to be aware of what's happening.
So this was just an FYI. There's no motion needed,
Yes.
correct?
Correct.
Okay.
We do have a meeting next, the 16th, I think it is, or the 15th at 6 p.m. The authority does. That's my report.
Ralph, could I ask a question on the sewage? Do they, when in the agreement with Walker Benner, Spring Walker Benner, are they allocated a given amount of capacity or a given flow rate?
Yeah, it's all spelled out in the agreement, John. They do have an allotment of the total capacity which they have purchased. And for example, in gallons is 3.2 million gallons a day total capacity. The plant is permitted for. Right off the top, I can't tell you exactly how much of that allotment they have, but they have an allotment that they've purchased over the years. So yes, to answer your question, they have capacity with their allotment.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, Doug, Matt Allman, the borough's public works superintendent, wanted me to pass along not only to council, but borough residents that leaf collection will end effective this Friday, December 11th. It'll be the last day for leaf pickup. They went around all last week and were only able to get about a half a truckload. So they're just going to wait till everyone piles their leaves up this week, and then they'll pick them up Friday. And then for all intensive purposes, that will be it for the year. I think the residents did a great job this year getting the leaves out. I think with having the two trucks have really made it easier for the borough. But again, Friday, December 11th, for all residents, any remaining leaves that you have that you want collected, get them out for Friday. We'll pick them up on Friday, and then that will be it. Then they're going to get the trucks prepared and put away for the winter.
So Don, just to clarify for the public, everybody's leaves will be picked up on Friday, but not tomorrow, Wednesday, or Thursday, correct?
That's correct. It'll be one pickup on Friday. They'll be going around the whole borough all day Friday.
Thank you. Anything else for water and sanitation? Seeing none? Streets, Deb?
Okay, the Streets Committee met on November 24th, and Nancy Perkins joined us and gave us a presentation about signage for the Women's March in conjunction with the suffragette movement, the women's right to vote. I'd like to ask Council to consider a letter in support of placing signage on Allegheny Street right of way or in the borough or on borough property along Allegheny Street.
I'll make the motion to have that sign approved.
I'll second that motion. Hamboski.
Johnson and Hamboski. Okay. Discussion?
I think that Nancy did a really good job coordinating this with the representative. It's a pretty cool sign for the borough, so I'm anxious to get it in place.
Yeah, this is just for the public's edification. This is a sign that's very different from the historic signs that we've seen elsewhere in the state. It's a national signage program that has about 1,600 designated spots throughout the country, focusing specifically on the suffragist movement and the marches surrounding the women's right to vote for 100 years ago. And so this is basically their last effort to fill out the rest of them. And because we had a large march here in, I think, 2017 or 2018, that was led by Anna Keckline and another woman whose name I'm not recalling. They wanted to place the signage here in Bellefonte. What this letter is basically doing is saying that we've got a place to put it should they decide to place the signage here. And the deadline was moved up from, I think it was December 1st to sometimes toward
January 15th.
January 15th. So that we can let them know, and then the national committee will make the awards as to where these will go. The only cost to us will be our staff putting the signage up. Everything else is they're paying for.
I think you said 2017 or 2019. I think it was
I mean,
earlier.
19, yeah, 100 years ago. Sorry about that.
Yeah. All right.
Time flies.
Yeah.
How was that meeting, that March?
Oh, it was wonderful. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Any other discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? So moved.
Okay, in your packet is also the response from Mark Hood and his observations about the traffic on Potter Street near the new cakery location. And his best recommendation is just to create a pedestrian lane. He's not recommending any kind of barriers or immovable objects because they could be,
Liability.
not impact resistant. And also a note, I think all of the angled parking on Potter Street is currently red metered, so that will become all permit parking. There isn't really any commercial parking there.
I think the sidewalk that they're talking about is something that we should do. I don't know if we need another meeting for it, but if it's just putting a line on and distinguishing it as pedestrian, that also might help slow down some of the traffic that they feel there's some speed going on. But at this point, we can't prove that's happening that quick after a car comes through that intersection.
Right. I think if we were to do a pedestrian lane with maybe diagonal striping in it to really make it stand out.
I think he suggested some type of, what is it, the collapsible post or something?
The flexible pedestrian signs.
Yeah, well, no, it was.
Help with snow.
There's a regular type of post that mounts right to the street, and it just falls over if somebody hits it. It bends over and comes back, I think. I don't think it breaks.
It'd be good for snow too.
Right. I would hesitate to put anything along there like planters, anything that would not only create an impact hazard as far as traffic goes, but also anything that would interfere with snow clearing.
All I'm proposing are the quick and easy fix it that he suggested.
The only problem, Brandy, I think doing that is that when the delivery trucks come in to deliver materials to the Letterman's facility and to the cakery, they park right up next to the building, and that would be a problem if those flexible things were there.
No, they just run them over.
Okay, well, that's fine. I don't want to create issue, but I think it was part of the recommendation that he had made.
It was.
Any comments?
Gina, I read the email. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that just having something to indicate a walkway along that building would probably suffice. As indicated in the email, Melissa has put up a slow down sign and she said that seems to have helped. She does feel like there is some speeding issues there. But I think that my original concern was that there would be a lot of walking traffic from Bonfado's to the cakery, and they're just naturally going to walk along the side of the building there. So I think a simple solution would be indicating something that shows a walkway, and so that a car can't drive closer to the building and will stay more just in the center lane where they should be driving.
I did check that out and walked along the side of the building to where the new store is, and you do feel kind of exposed.
Yeah.
Even if you're up against the building.
I think that we wanted to do something similar next to Bellefonte Walk down Cherry Alley, where we wanted painted lines, or was it the other alley? Like it's in Cherry Lane, and we wanted to do it.
It's already in Cherry Lane.
It's already in Cherry Lane.
And we wanted to do it in the alley behind the YMCA, and it wasn't wide enough. Is
Right.
this road wide enough for that?
That's correct. You're correct.
Yeah, this
Well,
road
there-
is wide enough for Barter
Yeah.
Street is.
That seems like the easiest solution, just to paint a sidewalk.
But that can't be done until the spring. Is that not correct,
That is-
Ralph?
That's correct.
So do we need a motion to do this?
I think it's something the administration can handle.
Yes.
Give the direction. They know that that's what we're looking for. I don't think we need a motion, but.
Sounds good to
the
me.
rest
Sounds good to me.
If I might add, we can also, if I may interject, we can also put a cruiser down there in some peak times to slow some traffic down and to do like our own little traffic study. And I can, we can set an officer down there, and they can, go ahead and set a speed zone up and see how many cars actually travel down there through that area and what speeds are gaining from West High Street on out through that traffic way. So, police presence always helps. It's not a cure-all, but if there's significant problems with the way the road's laid out or the walkway is, that's another story. But presence always has a deterrence for a little bit.
Thanks for the offer, Sean. I think that's a good idea.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I have just 3 very quick updates. One is about the Ardell Lane, that the residents with properties adjacent to Ardell Lane between Wilson and Monroe will be notified that it's now under borough control. And just general information that it is under their control. And then down the line, there are a couple of properties with either fences or plantings that are encroaching just a little bit into the right of way, and those property owners will be notified of that situation. And PennDOT has been contacted about the stop sign at the intersection of Mill, Axeman, and Pine Street to change it from a conditional stop to a complete stop. So that's in process. Excuse me. And another correspondence with PennDOT was to get a right-of-way for the wayfinding sign, "Welcome to Bellefonte," along Mill Street.
So what does that involve?
I think that's just a permit.
Do we need to have, well, no,
A
that's
permit to
in,
the sign.
We don't really know yet, Joanne. The inquiry to PennDOT was to ask what it was that we needed to do. We haven't heard back.
okay.
Deb just brought it, reminded me. We'll send an email out tomorrow or Wednesday following up since we haven't heard. It's been a few weeks since it was turned over to someone else. So we'll follow up on that.
Okay.
Okay, and that's all I have.
Any questions? Okay, Doug.
You asked me last meeting, I can't remember what it was, Joanne or Ralph and Don also asked me, the Route 150 stone repair. I contacted the MPO folks. Route 150 stone wall repair is complete. No additional work is expected. So that's a little disappointing. I asked for that on that conversation if I could have a look at the work order to see what it entailed. I'm guilty of not looking at the work. It was explained to me by Ralph and Dawn that didn't seem like much. So my plan tomorrow is to contact Mr. Stewart, Mr. Holderman, and buy him a cup of coffee at Bonfato's and go over and take a look at this so that I can respond to the work order if and when I get to see that. So it's a little disappointing, but we'll see what the story is.
We'll meet you at 7:45, Doug.
Okay.
When was the work completed?
Yet.
I beg your pardon?
When was the work completed?
I would say 2 weeks ago. Something.
No, Doug, I actually saw them working personally on it. It was last summer sometime.
Really?
Yeah, there were a lot of people around. I remember seeing them working on it. They had
a
couple guys up on top and some people down in the stream.
But that's what raised our concern about having that work done, was that job, I thought.
I beg your pardon?
I thought when they were down there working, that's what kind of, when we started looking at that wall and the structure of it, I thought that's when that came into question, to go back and take a look at that.
Yeah, that it was failing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too, Randy, but
So I don't think the work they did last summer had anything to do with that.
They're saying it does.
They're saying
I'm telling you the report I got. Route 150 stone wall repair is complete. No,
I did notice some places where there was new stone, but I really didn't look to see if it was complete.
Again, the report was the work is complete and no additional work is expected. So we'll look into it a little further. Let me get the work order and see what was supposed to be or what was completed, and we'll go from there. How about that?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I'll be in touch tomorrow, Ralph and Dawn.
Sounds good. Yep.
7:45 is a little early. Gina usually gets there. Gina usually gets there about 8:30. So why don't we make it 8:30?
Okay.
Don't give away my coffee routine there, you know.
Anything else for streets? Seeing none. Mike, Energy and Environmental Conservation?
Well, there was a meeting with Wilson Energy Engineering, and unfortunately I couldn't make it. I assume you were there. Can you do an update on that?
I can do a little bit, but I think Ralph and Don can do a little bit more. Basically, what they did was we looked at the options available for doing the plan, and we narrowed it down. We originally had 5. We've narrowed it down to 3. They're taking those back, and I don't know if we've gotten back the update based on those yet or not.
Okay.
No, I haven't received anything yet, Joanne. This meeting, Patrick Martin, who's the engineer working with us, he wanted to go over a preliminary outline, looking at an executive summary and developing a mission statement, and wants us to come up with goals for energy management. So there were some things that, he went over with us, and we'll have to follow up with another meeting in the near future and kind of give them some guidance and flesh out some of the items in as far as goals and team members and responsibilities and how this is going to work.
Yeah. I think we told them that we wouldn't have that information until January because of the holidays. But we do need a doodle to get that done. So if that could be set up, that would be helpful.
January will work a lot better for me too.
Keep going.
Next on the agenda is we got a order related to flood disasters. I read it, but I really couldn't see what it did.
It's just an FYI that DEP asked us to share with the council. We don't have to do anything with it.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't really see how it even really pertained to us because our flooding is not.
Well, we had the flooding in 2018, and that was what they were referring to. It happened around the state. And basically, just what this does is it says they're trying to craft some kind of plan so that when we have these lower level flooding issues that causes damage to properties, that the state will be able to have some kind of emergency funding to help mitigate those plans, that kind of flooding. Whereas right now, the FEMA, or the Federal Emergency Management Funding, has to have, when you have to declare a disaster and you have to have mega damage, and we can't, most communities with the flooding that happened like that would not apply. With this program that he's trying to set up, it's this middle ground where the borough doesn't have the money to afford it, but the state might be able to put in funds to help us fix any problems from this moderate level of flooding issues.
Okay. And the other another item was we had an update from the sustainability project with the Penn State students. Basically, they didn't need anything from us, but they're having a Zoom meeting tomorrow at 4:25 for presenting some of their work. So I don't have. If I go into the email, I could probably get a link for it, but I don't have one to give out. Go ahead.
Is there a link for that?
Yes.
Yes.
Ralph, could you send that on out to the council members for them to, if they want to?
Yes,
Yes, please.
we'll take care of that.
Thank you.
It'll basically be a review of what they did in their first semester and then what their plan is for next semester.
Right.
Okay. And this is just the first phase of the program.
Yes, it's going to be a multi-year project.
Got it. Our energy consultants, PPI, are offering a webinar relating to solar energy purchasing on January 12th. Again, I don't have their link, but it's available.
I can, if you're interested, I pretty much left it to the Energy Environmental Committee. And I assume it'll be informational, educational. If others want it, once we get a little bit closer, I'll send it out to everybody, and you can decide if you want to set in or not.
Sounds good. Thank you. That's all I have.
Any questions for Mike? Seeing none, we'll move on to Office of Community Affairs. Ralph?
All right. There was no planning meeting in November, and I think we may have one in December. It would be next week. HARB has some certificates of appropriateness that they are recommending for approval. First one is 105 North Potter Street. It's signage. Next one is 135 South Spring Street, also signage. The next item is 439 East Lynn Street, installation of a utility shed. And the last item is the Gamble Mill over here at Dunlap Street, and they are installing some new signage.
Okay, so I need a motion. I think we could do all of these at once. A motion for 105 North Potter Street for signage has presented with wording on both sides of the sign to accommodate pedestrian traffic. This is for the cakery. Signage for 135 South Spring Street has they presented it. Signage at the Gamble Mill, and there are 5 signs here. Signs 1 and 2, approval as presented. Sign 3 is presented with height and size to be administratively approved. Sign 4, adding guy wires to help keep it from swinging in the wind. And sign 5 with final administrative approval for this design due to the size of this sign that they weren't quite sure of when they presented it. And then in the last one is 439 East Lynn Street is installation of a utility shed, and there will be an administrative approval for colors because the owner couldn't decide which color he wanted.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I need a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion, Joanne Brackbill.
I'll second it. Prendergast.
Brackbill and Prendergast. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? So moved.
And those use codes, we're still waiting on some reports. Our person that does that has a full-time job, very busy. We did contact him today, and he'll try his best to have both the October report and the November report and the next council packet. So hopefully that is what happens.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ralph, would it be easier for him to do like a quarterly, is this a quarterly report or a monthly report?
Well, we just started this. Mr. Johnson and myself met with him back in October, so it's fairly new, but he is just part-time trying to do this on the side.
How elaborate does the report need to be? I mean,
Well, that's a good question. We kind of verbally went over what it should entail. Once we see a few samples, we can meet with them again and look over what's being presented. But we're we don't want to make it too cumbersome. We rather have his hours out enforcing the codes, not filling out paperwork. But nevertheless, it's something that has come up through council about having him include a status report.
yeah, I think just a list of actions would be fine. I don't think we needed to go into great depth unless there's something specific.
I think we talked about letters written and status at the district justice office and even citations issued. So we'll see what we get to start with.
All right, I was just thinking that, it should be something he's doing anyway, just so he can track his hours or whatever, however we're paying him.
We don't pay him per ticket, we pay him per hours.
Right, but you don't want him just sitting there twiddling his thumbs, so he should be taking some kind of tracking on his time.
Sure.
Any other questions? Was that, Tom, was that a hand raised or was that a brushing your
He's
face?
just a finger wag, I think.
Okay.
I think it was a keep
Move
it
on,
going.
okay.
Bring it on home.
Any special committee reports? Guess not. Okay, old business. First one is consider appointment of Center County Library Board. Clayton has stepped up and has offered to take this position effective January 1st. So we need a move to appoint Deb Clayton as council representative representative to the Center County Library Board effective January 1st.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Eden and
I think
Prendergast.
Deb will be good on that.
Any discussion?
Thank you,
Seeing-
Deb.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Deb. Keep John in line.
Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And Deb, you're required by law to vote as well.
That's counted as a yes.
Yes.
And make sure you get invited to the Blueberry Harvest Festival party.
Okay, the next two items are related to each other. So Ralph, do you want to talk about the first one and then we'll go to the second
Sure,
one?
it's just a note that the borough masking social distancing ordinance has been put on hold for now. The main reason for that is the Governor Wolf's issuance of an executive order of November 23rd. In his order, it has much more restrictive language than what our borough ordinance had in the draft. So in order to eliminate additional costs on the borough and a tremendous amount of confusion with a lesser strength ordinance and a more restrictive state executive order, we decided to put on hold the borough ordinance consideration for now. If at some time in the future the state executive order goes away and there's still a problem in Bellefonte, then certainly council can, resurrect the ordinance and pick up with a public hearing and go forward. But I did want to state in the meeting that right now everything related to the ordinance is on hold. Now, the next item, we're not playing with words, but we're looking at council considering a resolution related to the same topic, a mask ordinance, social distancing policy. A resolution has no teeth. It's not a law. It's more or less a statement from Borough Council. So that is going to be considered tonight by Borough Council. It's somewhat detailed, but it's a resolution, and it is involving the same topic, the borough's interest in public safety and public health and encouraging people to wear masks, when you're around outside, when you're around other people, social distance if at all possible, wash your hands frequently, do all the things that the specialists, the policymakers are trying to say to encourage people to stay healthy. That's in the resolution. I don't know. I know we're encouraging to finish the meeting, but I wanted to give that overview.
I think I'd add also that it also gives our police department the authority to handle any kind of issues on a legal basis.
Yeah, the state executive order clearly said it can be enforced by local law enforcement. So there's no question in our minds it can be enforced by our police department. Yes, we're talking about the state executive order. Now the resolution has no teeth. So if that,
The state does.
Yeah, the states does.
Right.
It's different. But if the borough does pass a resolution tonight, it has no teeth. It's just a strong statement.
So why don't we have a motion to approve in a second, then we can have the discussion.
I know there was, the one came out and then a revision came out today, and I don't know if everybody saw it or not. So do you want a motion for the original or do you
No,
want
for the second one. The second was
Okay.
yes.
All right.
And I'll make
I'll
a
make the
motion that we adopt the resolution number 2020-1207-01, revised, it's version 2 basically of the draft resolution.
Yes.
I'll second it.
So Brackbill and Prendergast. Okay. In terms of discussion, does anyone have any comments, questions, want to make any changes? Okay, so what I'll do is just basically say that basically this says that the Bellefonte Borough Council endorses and supports Governor Wolf's mandatory mask wearing and social distancing for Pennsylvanians. It then goes on and calls on people in the community who live, work, and play to wear masks when in public space following these orders. And that we do extend our appreciation to the leaders of businesses, nonprofits, institutions of faith, and other organizations who have encouraged the wearing of cloth masks to help protect people and safely reopen the economy. That we do declare that we will comply with these state policies and direct the Bellefonte Borough Police to both educate the public and enforce all state mandated COVID-19 orders as outlined by the governor. That we will post this resolution and any additional COVID-19 orders on our website and on our Facebook page, and that it will remain in effect until the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania fully lifts the statewide emergency with no further restrictions. So that gives the public an idea of what we're doing. And there's a lot of whereases at the beginning of it.
Whereas, who's fors, and whatevers.
Yeah.
Just less of them with, not really all that a revision did. It took some of the older information out and kind of combined two other whereases together. And
yeah. We collapsed, got rid of some of the whereases, collapsed two of the whereases, and then I updated this morning the numbers of COVID cases in the county and here in the 16823 zip code area based on yesterday's numbers so that people have an up-to-date idea of where we're at this point in time. And I think what I'm going to do here is say that I'm going to be voting for this. We are now in a second surge that has reached the Bellefonte area. 19% of all the COVID-19 cases diagnosed in our zip code were diagnosed in the last week alone. That is a huge amount. I believe that Governor Wolf is correct. All of us need to work together to educate and to make sure through follow through on the governor's order for the safety of us all. We will be if we pass this ordinance, we will be following the state guidelines until the threat of COVID-19 is gone and the state has lifted the emergency. So therefore, I will be voting yes. This does not go beyond anything beyond what the governor has declared. If he reduces it, then we'll reduce it. If he eliminates it, we'll eliminate it. And if for some reason he makes it even stricter, we'll just follow what's happening based on his orders and this resolution.
Yeah, so I call a vote. Call the question.
Any objection?
No.
Okay, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? So moved unanimously. Okay. Moving on, Ralph.
There's a note here. Let's see, we talked about the sustainability projects. I think we're pretty good with that. There's a presentation tomorrow and we clarified PennDOT thinks the wall's fixed, which we're going to look into. And then the next item is the, I guess, most recent.
Ralph,
Yeah.
back up. I thought we were going to ask a letter sent to state both PennDOT and the Fish and Boat Commission to clarify what our priorities were.
I think
go ahead.
I believe it's a moot point. And when we were in our committee meeting, I can't remember which committee it was. I don't think we understood that PennDOT believed the wall has been repaired. And I think we were wondering if the priority was shifting from the dam work and not the wall. But the wall, according to PennDOT, it's already been repaired. So I may be wrong, but I think the issue has been addressed.
So if once Doug finds out what's happening with this work order and we still find there's an issue, then we can come back around and readdress
Yes,
this.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, I think their concern was whether we were putting off repairs to the wall inadvertently, but that's not the case.
Okay.
So the next item is the most recent revisions to the strategic management plans that have been presented by Delta Development 2 Borough Council. We had a meeting, I'm going to say about a month ago, where the consultants sat in and we had a special meeting, went through and listened to comments and feedback and walked through the plan. Those changes were made, and then that's what's in this revision. I think the next work is to discuss implementation, those kinds of things.
Should we send this to the Finance Committee for one final review and make recommendations?
Sure.
I would like I'm disappointed in this report that came back. There are issues that we spoke about in that lengthy meeting that they did not make the changes in.
That's correct.
And I don't understand, it's like, I don't want to have to do this again. I would like to move on and start looking at what do we meet, what don't we meet, and how we're going to meet it. And this, I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't understand why things were missed. I mean, we talked about the businesses that are listed that don't exist anymore.
Exactly.
I saw businesses on there, I don't even know where they're at. They might have been there 5 years ago, but they're not there now. But one of the plants has been going longer than that. So I'm disappointed in that whole thing at this point. I like what they did as far as what we've accomplished and what we need to do to meet certain needs. But that front part of this is awful. I have other words for it, but I'll use awful.
Very diplomatic, Randy.
I agree with you, Randy. Steps 1 to 3 did not make the changes that we had requested.
No, they didn't. And you almost have to go back over the whole thing to see what was missed.
Yeah.
One has to fear that maybe the money has been expended.
Onward and upward.
Okay.
What's that motion, Paul?
So.
Okay. We'll try to keep it moving here.
Okay.
I thought he was going whoopee.
So moving on to the Victorian Christmas event.
Sure. Just a note, after the governor's order came out of November 23rd, there was some back and forth emails. Victorian Christmas Committee of HBI has canceled the overall event, the vendors, all the activities, except the Santa House. The Santa House was already in place. We just, again, went back and forth with some procedures and precautions to keep people safe. And I believe there was even an on-site meeting with Dawn and Joanne last Friday with Sally Hauser, president of the Victorian Christmas Committee. And my understanding is, I gave administrative approval, but I'm comfortable that the committee is doing everything possible to have the Santa House there. There's given hours, but when they're there, there's the Santas there. The standard mask wearing, social distancing practices are in place. So we couldn't do any, they wanted to have it active this past weekend. So there was not a council meeting prior to the Santa House being used and the changes with the governor's order. So we had to make a decision.
So I've had several requests to know exactly what the procedures are at the Santa House that we administratively approved. So I'd just like to quickly go through them so that the public knows what to expect. Santa will be sitting 8 feet inside the Santa House with the door opening, roped off so that no one else can go into the house. There'll only be allowed one child and one adult at the door at a time. Social distancing markings will be taped every 6 feet back towards the courthouse annex. If pictures are taken, Santa will come to the door for the picture and then move immediately back to the chair. Exiting will be done around the back of the house. If someone wants to see Santa who uses a wheelchair, Santa will ask everyone else in line to move back beyond the flagpole so that the wheelchair user can enter and exit the same way. This is because the exit route is too narrow to accommodate a wheelchair. People with strollers are being asked to park the strollers near the memorial before getting into line. They can then pick up the stroller after exiting via the regular exit route. Signage for all of these rules have been posted next to the door. Also, the door is being held open so that you won't have to touch it when you finish your visit with Santa. You'll just have to wiggle around it. That's
I'd
it.
like to thank Sally too for, the committee's been through a lot with this COVID stuff and keeping, her intent was to keep things going. And every time something else would pop up, more restrictions and things like that, she didn't let it get her down. And she still found a way to get something there. So I give her, that's a way to go. Good job.
And I'm
She
really
did it. She
appreciative.
did an excellent job.
Yeah, I'm really appreciative of her being able to work with us so that we could actually have this. It's unfortunate we couldn't have the rest of Victorian Christmas, but at least we had this tiny little bit for the kids.
I do want to say I was working on Saturday and I saw that they were making sure that they followed the guidelines.
Good.
So everything was good. You're good, Ralph.
You
You're off the hook.
you didn't have to arrest Santa.
No. It was a quick drive-by. Santa was good. I want to be on the nice list.
Okay.
Onward and upward.
Okay, moving on.
All righty. The next item is, we have listed an approval of the 2021 meeting schedule and refuse holiday schedule. I would just ask we hold that to the next meeting. I did get some comments from Randy. I want to check over the dates and everything. As long as we get it done by the next meeting, we'll get it advertised before the end of the month. So probably just hold that till next meeting.
Okay.
The next item was a proposed settlement agreement with Coca-Cola. I did not receive it. I knew it would be either late or not at all because they're wrapping up the final details and it takes time to go back and forth. Hopefully by the next meeting I have that. So that's all I have for old business.
Anybody else have any old business? Seeing none, moving on to new business.
Just to note that, this time of year, we look at either refilling or reappointing people, volunteers to authorities, boards, and commissions. Sometimes we get notice that they're not interested in serving another term, or there's vacancies where someone moved or what have you. Check our website for openings. If you're interested in serving, get us a volunteer application, which is also on the website, and we'll figure out, a place where maybe you could serve. So that's that.
Okay.
Last item is just Mr. Wallace is our sewer enforcement officer. We actually have a couple on-site systems in the borough boundary, and we're required by DEP to have somebody as an SEO. So this person's been on board for a while. We typically reappoint this person from year to year.
Well, if I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Stan Walsh as our SEO.
I will second that motion.
Brackbill and Johnson. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? So moved. Any
That's
other
all
new business?
That's all I have.
Anybody else have any new business? Anybody want any public comment? I don't see any public here. So seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
You certainly do.
Prendergast,
I'll second it. Clayton?
Clayton. Seeing no opposition, we're adjourned at 9:35 p.m.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.